the opposite, like I don't have a consciousness, like I'm stuck in the matrix and my brain's up for the taking, but we don't do that. I know my facts. They say that he was elected, but where the stats at? They say the jab the only way to get your life back, but if you have a heart attack then they will go to hide that. Look at the FDA acting like KKK, trying to run all our lives like we they brand new slaves. Lose the job, banned from playing segregation, all the same. They call themselves progressives, but they taking us all back again. Bring the world to darkness and sacrifice the children. Then when it's said and done, then you will never live with hope again. I say that we break the chains, we can't leave the world the same. Make love real again.
As we fly above the truth, I ask of God, am I with you? I walk the path, go to the light, but still I feel that.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages from all across the world. You are now tuned into your favorite daily source for news, entertainment, politics, and all things happening in the world. My name is Chandler, and you are now tuned in to the Chandler Brief, as we do every single weekday, Monday through Friday, as many days as we can, at 3, or sometimes like today, 3:30. Before we get started, I want to give a big thank you and shout out to everybody tuning in today. I'm very happy to be back. We took quite a few days break, at more, I think it's like 11 or 12 days or something like that. We took a big break from the show because I had spring break. I spent it with my family. We did a little bit of traveling. We might talk about that a little bit later on. I had a great time. It was very relaxing, but unfortunately, I have caught myself a little bit of a spring break bug. So if you hear me coughing or maybe, wiping my nose throughout the stream, don't pay me no mind. I don't have the Rona, or if I do, I'll beat it again. As you guys know, I am undefeated many times against that bug. Either way, we've got a lot to be talking about today, so those are all our disclaimers out of the way. Shout out to my boy St. June in the chat, Aaron Lavelle in the chat, Steve Harlow, and I want to give a big thank you to our current Hall of Heroes members. Our two regulars have taken the spot back again. It has been a Hall of Heroes insurrection, so big thank you to Mark Cook taking the 100 spot back, and Inespo for our most recent donation. I also want to give a big thank you to the folks who donated during our break. I just want to make sure I get that name out there as well. I want to give a big thank you to, drumroll please, hold on, I gotta scroll back and find it here, but a big thank you to everybody who supported me. I seriously appreciate it. Each and every donation does indeed go towards supporting our ability to create content and bring it to you, and I massively appreciate it. I'm gonna find that name in a minute. I don't want to spend too long dilly-dallying. We're gonna get jumped into the stories, but big thank you to everybody who has supported us before. And yes, of course, as St. June has said in the chat, make sure you smash that like button. Our very first story of the day may come as a little bit of a shock to people who have been paying absolutely no attention, but Elon Musk will not be joining the Twitter board. Now, you may be wondering, for those who have had their heads under the sand, which I wouldn't blame you honestly, what does Elon Musk have to do with the Twitter board? Well, it just so turns out that Elon Musk has bought a significant share, or a significant few shares of Twitter, so much so that he's got a little bit of power and was invited to join the Twitter board. He has decided not to join the board. Now, at face value, this may be a little bit confusing. Why would you buy a bunch of stock in a company, a bunch of shares in a company, if you're not going to join the board of a company? And that's why I put the words "why" in the title of the stream. Well, we're gonna jump into that, I should say. Not dump, but anyways, let's see what CNN Business has to say about this, because I'm always curious what CNN has to say. It's always funny. Tesla CEO Elon Musk, who recently became Twitter's largest individual shareholder, yeah, I was not kidding when I said he bought a few shares, has decided not to join the social media company's board. Twitter CEO Parag Agrawal tweeted the news Sunday night. And yada yada, there's the tweet. I believe this is for the best. We have and will always value input from our shareholders, whether they are on our board or not. Elon is our biggest shareholder, and we will remain open to his input. A Twitter spokesperson confirmed Musk decided not to join the Twitter board and referred to Agrawal's statement. The development comes less than a week after the Tesla and SpaceX founder disclosed that he had purchased a more than 9% stake in the company, and Twitter said in a regulatory filing that it planned to appoint Musk to its board for a term ending in 2024. Both Musk and Twitter's leadership had expressed excitement about his addition to the board. Musk tweeted Tuesday that he was looking forward to working with Parag and Twitter board to make significant improvements to Twitter in coming months. And Twitter founder Jack Dorsey said that Musk and Agrawal would make an incredible team. Twitter stock surged after his initial purchase was disclosed. As part of his agreement to join the board, the Musk had the Musk, interesting, had committed to not acquiring more than 14.9% of the company's shares during his term. Some corporate governance experts suggested that the move could have been a way of reining in Musk's influence over the company. Now that limitation is no longer in place, leaving the door open for Musk to potentially take a more aggressive stance by buying up even more of Twitter's shares. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, he may be dropping billions on billions to get these censoring tyrants out of the way and open up free speech for everybody once again in the modern public square that is indeed Twitter. Now, this is a really big deal. Now, at first, I didn't understand that. I was like, Elon, are you giving up already? Why spend all that money if you're not going to do anything? But now I'm starting to realize that, well, business is a lot more complicated than I ever thought it would be, and I thought it was pretty complicated from the get-go. But Elon Musk is a man who, although he focuses much more on innovation and science, technology, and space, which is really cool, also has quite a knack for business, or at least surrounds himself with people that know a thing or two about how this stuff works. Here's a tweet from somebody similar to that. Elon Musk not taking a board seat is bullish for free speech coming back to Twitter. And for those who are uninitiated, bullish means it's a good thing. It's shows a lot of promise. The board seat was a proposed tactic by Twitter's current execs and board to curb his influence, limiting his maximum shares to 14.9. Musk can now pursue a hostile takeover if he so chooses. This is massive. There you go. He acquired 9% of company shares from February to April. Will he get to 18% by June? Next SEC filing should be interesting to see. In my opinion, this process is already happening. Shareholders don't care about the woke stuff. And given Elon's record of making shareholders rich, wouldn't be surprised to see social justice warrior panic in Twitter executive world right now, which is in fact already happening. People within Twitter, and in fact, I think one of them put out a tweet saying, I cannot work under Elon Musk and I'll be resigning. Hold on, let's see if I can just find resigning because of Musk. Let's just do a simple Google search to see if I can find Substack rejects Twitter employees considering quitting over Elon Musk. I did see this actually. Substack posted a tweet, something along the lines of, we will not be accepting you if you leave Twitter because of Elon Musk. So people are obviously getting quite triggered because Elon is getting a bullish stance on standing up for free speech. And I gotta say, I'm rather proud of him. And I think many more people are going to be proud. But something that many people are not going to be proud of is this next story, which comes from Disney. Well, not Disney the company or even Walt Disney himself, who's been dead for decades, but an heir to Disney has come out as trans and slams Florida's Don't Say Gay bill. Now, to be clear, this is a 30-year-old coming out as transgender, not some teen, as much as they make it sound like that. But let's dig into this anyways. A member of the Disney dynasty has come out publicly as transgender and expressed regret over not doing more about Florida's recent so-called Don't Say Gay bill. Roy Disney, the great-nephew of Walt Disney and the co-founder of Walt Disney Company, disclosed recently in a statement that his child, Charlie, is transgender. Roy revealed the news while also pledging $500,000 to the Human Rights Campaign alongside his wife Sherry. Charlie, 30, is a high school biology and science teacher who uses they/them pronouns and came out to Charlie's family 4 years ago. Equality matters deeply to us, especially because our child, Charlie, is transgender and a proud member of the LGBT community. Roy's sister, Abigail Disney, tweeted her praise and adoration for her brother's gesture. Today I am busting with pride at what my brother and his wife have done. So proud, she wrote in response to his pledge. The Don't Say Gay bill was signed by the Sunshine State's Governor Ron DeSantis last month and bars teachers from discussing orientation, yada yada yada. Charlie got candid in an interview with LA Times, of course it's the LA Times, and discussed Charlie's trans identity, as well as discontent with DeSantis' signing of the bill. I feel like I don't do very much to help. I don't call senators to take action. I felt like I could be doing more. Charlie noted before talking about a previous lack of visible leaders to follow. I had very few openly gay role models, and I certainly didn't have any trans or non-binary role models. I didn't see myself reflected in anyone, and that made me feel like there was something wrong with me. But Charlie further questioned the merit of the law because of bullying, anxiety, and suicide in the LGBT community. To put something like this law on top of that, they can't learn about their community and their history at school, or play sports, or use the bathroom they want to use. That's what they want us to think, at least. This story, unfortunately, doesn't end there. Now, it's not directly connected, but Disney has been a massive company in the firestorm lately, and for good reason. Of course, there's a lot of concern about what they're up to. Jack Bosovic, a very popular Twitter personality, has been paramount to this entire thing. He's made the phrase Disney groomer so big, so much so that he actually was temporarily suspended from Twitter for this. I sounded really southern when I said that, suspended. He was temporarily suspended from Twitter. I'm so used to saying permanently suspended because the phrase suspended sounds temporary, but most of the time it's permanent. But this time it was not. Anyways, Jack Bosovic spoke out during his temporary ban and claims that current suspension from Twitter is retaliation for exposing a Disney employee group. And here's an image he posted: boycott groomers and some other things. Conservative Jack Bosovic was temporarily suspended from Twitter today after he shared links to buy t-shirts and stickers and blazons with the Disney logo reading boycott groomers. This was too much for Twitter leftists. Evidently, the slogan, boycott groomers, is against company policy or something. Jack is one of the remaining Twitter users who continues to make a difference in the political landscape and drive narrative. Jack has over 1 million followers. The Gateway Pundit reached out to Jack and provided the following comment, calling the suspension retaliation for his reporting. Elon most recently commented that corporations dictate policy on Twitter through ad dollars. So it comes as no surprise Twitter will censor you for criticizing one of the largest media companies in the world. This is clear retaliation for me leaking the internal employee forums at Disney showing many of their workers support the Florida anti-grooming bill. Jack Bosovic is the latest in a long list of conservatives who have been censored, blacklisted, and shadow banned and banned from Twitter. Twitter will eventually ban his account if he does not conform. President Trump, the Gateway Pundit, and many others have already been banned or silenced from the platform. I didn't want to read such a biased article, but this was actually the only one I could find. No other news article wanted to talk about the fact that a major conservative account was banned from Twitter for talking about a major company, which just so happens to have a lot of sway with Twitter. Is there some sort of bias happening? You bet. That's just how corporations like these work. But nobody was willing to talk about it. Thankfully, Jack got his account back. And what did he do the minute he came back on Twitter? He doubled down. He tweeted Disney Groomer, Disney Groomer, Disney Groomer, Disney Groomer, Disney Groomer, Disney Groomer. That sure does sound like a Disney song in and of itself. And of course, here's grand old memes coming through with the amazing meme with the tuba over poor Twitter. And he even did an amazing job photoshopping Jack's face over the image, which is just beautiful. Bricksuit came through. Do you want people to know there are groomers at Disney? Because banning Jack Bosovic for pointing it out is how you do that. There you go. Everybody's getting in on it, and for a short period of time, Disney Groomer actually trended on Twitter. And as you can see, it did absolutely amazing with 14,000 retweets and 64,000 likes. Jack is a person I don't think I've ever seen get ratioed, and actually just to check, if we quickly take a brief look back through his feed and see where he tweeted this. Let's just check how his comments were doing under this, because as you guys can obviously tell, he's been going crazy on the Twitter feed. I'm still trying to get through, but here is hashtag Disney Groomers trending on Twitter. Even though it's only at 26, it had 23,000 tweets about it, which is just crazy. And then here's, and actually at one point it was at 15, as you can see there. And of course, Post Millennial made a tweet about it, or an article. We'll check that out in a second, but if you can see all the way back to where he originally posted, Disney Groomer, only 2,000 comments under it. So clearly, no ratio happening there. Jack Bosovic is epic and base and absolutely destroying the Disney Groomers and is making it clear where he stands and is making his mark on Twitter. So much so that hashtag Disney Groomers trended on Twitter after he was locked out for calling them Disney Groomers. What more can you say? Aaron Lavelle says Jack made an epic comeback. He also says he should just acquire the whole platform and then shut it down. That would be epic in regards to Elon. I totally agree. Although, no, he shouldn't shut it down. He should just shut down the censorship and things of that nature. Speaking of shutdowns, though, or lockdowns, we have to talk about 2020 all over again. Because, unfortunately, people just don't seem to be learning their lesson. New York and California appear to have failed insurmountably in their handling of COVID. But Florida was among the best, a study says, as it is shared by the New York Post. New York, New Jersey, and California failed in their handling of COVID pandemic because of stringent lockdowns and policies, while Florida was among the best performing states in the country, a new study has found. The study, published by the Committee to Unleash Prosperity, graded states by comparing COVID-19 outcomes based on the number of deaths, the economy, and impact on education. Overall, the bottom 10 on the study's report card were dominated by states that had most severe pandemic lockdowns and were among the last to finally reopen schools. Shutting down their economies and schools was by far the biggest mistake governors and state officials made during COVID, particularly in blue states. Stephen Moore, one of the study's authors, said Monday. Despite new disgraced former Governor Andrew Cuomo initially being hailed for his strict, now disgraced former Governor Andrew Cuomo, for his strict response to the pandemic, the Empire State performed poorly on every measure, ranking 49th. New Jersey was the worst performing state, the study found. Other places that also received an F grade included California, Illinois, and Washington, D.C. Of course, these were states that were graded for their care and adherence to the science in defending their citizens from the scourge that was COVID-19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and 38. Because there are a million different COVIDs and not enough people to fight it, apparently. But anyways, states that nearly had straight up ghost towns during the pandemic. In fact, let's just New York pandemic ghost town. Let's just look this up real quick. New York pandemic ghost town to show you how straight up empty New York was during the pandemic. I just want to show you these images. Insane what we saw. Straight through the streets, empty. This is supposed to be how you handled COVID-19, right? Meanwhile, their economies were in shambles. People were just as unsafe, if not more unsafe, because of these lockdowns. And what did we get out of it? A terrible economy and a year worth of businesses dying and citizens running out of the ability to even live in their state and having to move elsewhere, like Florida, because that's where a ton of people decided to pick up their roots and move to once New York finally fell apart during the pandemic. We're supposed to expect these people who listen to the science to lead us. For instance, like Kamala Harris, who has spent feels like eons championing masks and the vaccines and all of these different things, but isn't even adhering to her own rules. So much so going to say and having Jen Psaki say, it was an emotional day, that's why Kamala Harris couldn't wear her mask indoors. Let's hear this.
Question. You said on Friday that the vice president was masked indoors all day, but the White House tweeted a video showing her standing over the president without a mask on. Can you explain what happened there?
Well, I would say that the vice president and the president and all of us abide by what the CDC protocols are. It was an emotional day. It was a historic day. And there were moments when she was not wearing a mask inside, including in a photo. But she was wearing it 99.9% of the time.
99.9% of the time.
Got him.
Destroy them with facts and logic, and eventually they'll be off your tail. At least that's what Jen Psaki thinks she's doing, but obviously we're all laughing at her face. Clearly, Jen Circleback Psaki's days are numbered. She's already announced that she's going to be going elsewhere, I think doing some sort of MSNBC show or something. I might be getting them mixed up. Seems like every single one of these Biden White House officials is leaving their job to go do something with CNN or MSNBC. Maybe go join that new CNN Plus. See how long that lasts you. Either way, it's clear to see that these leaders are embarrassing themselves on a day-to-day basis, and people aren't listening anymore. That's why we have all these different people who are willing to stand up and say, no, I support Elon Musk buying up shares of Twitter so that we can get our free speech back. I support Jack Bosovic making the words DisneyGroomers trend. And I support all these different media people giving the flame and putting Jen Psaki on the fire for her own leaders, bamboozling her, bamboozling America, and not listening to the CDC guidelines or protocols or whatever it may be that they want to convince us to listen to. That's just my 2 cents, but what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much to my people who are watching here on YouTube, on Getter, on Rumble. I appreciate each and every one of you so much more than you could ever know. I really appreciate my people over on Alt Tech. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to my Rumble channels and follow me over on Getter. It is a big deal to migrate ourselves off of these big tech platforms, even if we have Superman Elon Musk coming in to swoop up shares and restore free speech. We have to be careful, tamp down our expectations, and still support alt-tech platforms that were founded for the express purpose of defending our free speech. That's just how I feel. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And aside from all that, big thank you to everybody who has smashed that like button, all of our Hall of Heroes members, everybody who has supported my channel. I appreciate you. And aside from all that, I'll catch you next time, free thinkers. Don't forget to spread the virus of intelligence.
Into the light we go.